podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Hello everyone and welcome to How Are the Podcast. It's Gav and you join us for this week's news roundup. Loads going on in the world of Sunderland. We've got plenty to get through today. I'll be amazed if we get through everything on my list. But here it goes. We're going to try our best to give you our views on all the news surrounding the club at the minute. And first up, I have Brett with me. Hello, mate.
Hello, Gav. How you doing?
Very good, mate. Very good. Looking forward to the Man U game at the weekend. It's not too far away in the distance, is it?
It's creeping up on us. This 4-day week throws you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Now,
I don't
what
even...
days is it? Is it Wednesday? Is it Thursday?
I
What day is
don't
it?
know. Yeah, I think it's Wednesday, but yeah, you're right, mate. It throws you all over the place. But it's quite good when you just want to move on to the next game of football because all of a sudden it presents itself and you've got a game to play. So yeah, happy days.
I'm very excited. Although I must admit, though, I'm not going to be able to. I've got to find a bar in Milan to watch it. So
I'm in Milan.
I am literally a Macam in Milan this weekend. So yeah, I've got to find myself a
Fabulous.
little bar to watch it. Trying to get that past the missus. There's a nice weekend in Milan. Yeah, can we watch the Sunderland United game for a bit first?
I'll make sure you wear your colours just so we can prove that there has been a Macam in Milan. Also with us is Andrew Smithson. Hello, mate.
Hello, mate. Sadly, I'm not heading to Milan anytime soon, but never mind. Brett can tell us all about it.
Yeah, closest I get to Milan is like the Italians in the town, really. That's about as far as I'll get. Yes, lads, plenty to go through today, so I thought we would kick things off with a bit of transfer stuff because I know people love when we talk about transfers, and it's creeping up on us this summer, isn't it? It's getting closer and closer, and the stories are already starting in the media. And this one's one which I don't think many people will be surprised by, but it seems that Wilson Isidor's future at Sunderland is coming to a close. You know, it looks like he's probably going to be leaving us this summer. Don't think anybody would be shocked if it does happen, given he has barely played. I think it's been 5 months since he started a game in the league. So, you know, he's probably going to want to head off and get football elsewhere. That story was run by The Sun. They claim he's ready to leave the club and that in January, Sunderland were willing to sell him, but clubs were put off by his £25 million price tag, which you would imagine has probably come down a little bit since then. But they are claiming that Everton and Forest had inquired about permanent moves. And then towards the end of the window, Palace and Burnley had inquired about loans, but had ultimately run out of time to make something happen. But Wilson Isidor, Andrew, somebody who I know we've got a lot of love for, scored a great goal at Villa, which was a bit of a reminder to everybody of what he can do. But it's fair to say since Brian Broby got himself fit and firing, that Isidor's not even been fancied, has he? I mean, even in games where you've thought, well, could we go 2 up front today? And it just hasn't been on the cards. And I think, you know, strikers are selfish players. They have egos, and that's not a bad thing. I like strikers who've got egos because it means that they put the ball in the back of the net. And Wilson Isidor's a great age. He's about to play in the World Cup for Haiti this summer. And he'll want to put himself in the shop window and probably go somewhere and play football. And I think we can all agree he's got the ability to play in a top league, and he probably is a little bit wasted on our bench. So while I'm sad to hear that he could be off, I think it's inevitable, isn't it?
It is, and it's one of those where there's no hard feelings on anybody's part. It's just probably the best time for him to move on. A couple of the clubs you mentioned there that he was linked with, that tells you that he's clearly a quality player. It's not teams from lower divisions or countries which maybe aren't as strong after him. It's decent sized clubs. So yeah, he's a good player, and he could well have had a few more minutes on the pitch for us. It's not that Lebris doesn't rate him, I don't think. He just doesn't think he can do the type of job for Sunderland that he wants him to do. But Isidore will always be warmly welcomed if he does move on and ends up playing against us in the Premier League. I mean, he scored in the playoff semi-final. He was integral in that promotion season. He's got a couple of goals since then. From what we can tell as well, it's not like he's causing trouble behind the scenes. It's just one of them. Time for everyone to move on, and you know, we all shake hands and wish him the best.
Yeah, I'm guessing you like us, Brett. Not shocked to hear that he could be leaving, but it's interesting timing, with the season sort of coming to a close. I think maybe Isidor, particularly after the goal at Villa, probably had a case to come in for one of these two games. We aren't winning games. There's an opportunity there to change things up a little bit. He's probably been banging the manager's door down to get a chance, hasn't he? Because he wants to play football. He doesn't want to go to the World Cup having barely kicked the ball for the last 6 months. But it looks like that's going to probably be the case. And the timing interests me a little bit because, is this maybe his agent getting his name out there nice and early before the World Cup? It could well be the case.
No, and I think it is a shame for him. But as you were saying about it, the amount of game time he has, I hadn't realised. I had a look earlier. He's not played half a game this year yet. The last time he actually played was when it was like 56 minutes was Man City in the beginning of December. So the writing is on. It's been on the wall for him for a little while. What just is sad as most though for me is that he gets the club. When it is for a foreign player. He came in and almost instantly, he sort of got on board. The fans loved him. He was doing things like the Macam dictionary. I think he did the Christmas lights. He'd only been there about 5 months of Chris Rigg. So the Middlesbrough corner flag, putting his shirt up. So there's a lot of things we'll remember him very fondly for. And as you just said there, though, I would have liked to have seen him this stage now, where goals have dried up. Obviously. That one goal against the Mags we will remember forever, but he's not scored anything else since. So it's now would have been the perfect time to give him a bit of a run out. One thing from our point of view, though, with it coming out now, we kind of want him to go to the World Cup as a Sunderland player, have a good World Cup, and get that extra bit of the World Cup tax that goes on top of it. So for me, I wouldn't be looking at moving him now. I'll be looking at waiting until the World Cup. If he scores a couple 2 goals in the World Cup, that's an extra few million on his price tag without a doubt. So, for me, I wouldn't be making any rash decisions on him before then.
Yeah, I was thinking about this before, actually. With regards to the direction that his sort of departure could take, and I think it makes more sense, Andrew, for the club to wait until he's played at the World Cup for the reason Brett said there. I don't think anybody's expecting Haiti to get out of their group, so. Realistically, he's got a couple of warm-up games before the tournament starts, and then he's probably going to play, you would imagine, 90 minutes for Haiti, and then that'll be the end of his tournament. So it's not like, clubs who might want him are going to have to wait very long, and I just think it would make perfect sense. The only risk you run there is if he gets and touch wood, this doesn't happen, but if he gets an injury, then that could hamper any chance of moving him on. But I just think I agree with Brett. I think if he can stand out in a team where they don't have any other standout players, that can only be a good thing for him trying to get a move.
Exactly. Brett's hit the nail on the head. If he has a good World Cup, his stock will be even higher. Even if he doesn't have a good World Cup, people wouldn't look at him and think, well, that's a bit poor, because he's not in a team expected to do well. So, yeah, if he's not supplied with the right chances, he's got no chance of scoring. There is the possibility that he gets injured playing in the World Cup, but you can't base things on ifs, buts, and maybes. One thing that encourages me about this, as I say, he's obviously of a decent level already by the clubs that are looking at him. But Sunderland are now in a position where our fringe players could be commanding fees of 15, 20 million. And we're all worried, aren't we, about what if we lose one of the big names? What if we lose one of the lads who's come along last summer and hit the ground running? If Sunderland managed to sell Isidor and maybe another fringe player, it might mean that we don't have to accept the first offer that comes along for argument's sake, Robin Roofs or whoever. So there's all sorts of factors to consider, and Brett again was right. He seems to love it on Weir side, and he seems to really appreciate playing for the club. But he's got his own career to think of, and if it works out for all parties and we get a decent fee in, then happy days.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Either way, if he leaves before or after the World Cup, I'll be cheering him on. I'm dying to see him do well. I just think it's great that he's going to the World Cup and he's going to get his chance to play on the big stage. And every scout in the world will be watching every game of that tournament. So it's, what better way to try and get yourself a move than to stand out of there, the biggest event in football. Speaking of players potentially departing, I say potentially, he is departing. Dan Neil will leave in the summer when he's out of contract, of course, but there has been a story doing the rounds that Wolves, Coventry and Ipswich are all interested in making him a summer signing. Obviously, Ipswich have had him on loan, so they've had a good look at him, and I think he's been a pretty consistent part of that team that got automatic promotion. Coventry will be well acquainted with who Dan Neil is, given he's came up against them a fair few times over the last few years, and they'll be keen to strengthen their squad for the Premier League next year. And Wolves will come down with a decent budget, and probably, if Dan Neil can't get himself a Premier League move, will be the most attractive option of the Championship teams for any player doing the rounds. But quick one from you, I guess, Brett. Dan Neil just we're all resigned to it happening. We know he's leaving. He's basically left. The club have already said, haven't they, on the website? They gave him a big send off and said he would be departing this summer. But it has to stand him in good stead, doesn't it, that he's got promotion 2 years on the bounce with two different teams. The captain of Sunderland, trusted to play in two sides who are well respected teams at that level. We were obviously well respected. Ipswich now gaining promotion, second promotion in a couple of years. So it can only be of benefit to Dan Neil, can't it, that he's achieved two successive promotions out the Championship going forward.
Oh, definitely. And I really hope, when you say that the three teams you just mentioned there, I'd hate to see him play for Coventry. For starters, I really would hate that. And I wouldn't want him to go to Wolves, because I don't think he deserves another promotion, battle next season if Wolves are going to be in the mix. So, I'd love him to, sign a full-term contract with Ipswich, and be a Premier League player, and try and establish himself there and sort of kick on his career, because he doesn't want to be that. You often see those players, don't you, down the years, like Darren Huckabee always springs to mind, where he tears the Championship up and then sort of can't quite make that Premiership move, and he then drops down again, tears it up, and he keeps yo-yoing himself.
Yeah. One that comes to mind probably more recently would be Adam Armstrong, who incidentally is signed for Wolves when they knew they were down. He's probably gonna play for them in the Championship next season, but he's the one that comes to mind for me. He bangs them in every year, doesn't he, in the Championship, and then hasn't made the step up.
There is some of these players, and I don't want. He doesn't deserve to have that attached to him as well. So I'd love to see him, literally, next season, be a Premier League player and go on, have a really good career. And again, but as we're saying with Isidor, we're not a single Sunderland fan, so every Sunderland fan wants Dan Neil to have a good career. So he does deserve it.
That's something that's kind of stood out to me, Andrew, when we're talking about Neil and Isidor here. There aren't many players of this last couple of years who, if they did leave, we'd be glad to see the back of them. It's almost like, even though we're resigned to them going because they're maybe not up to standard anymore, we're giving them our best wishes, and we're happy, and we're like proud parents when they go elsewhere. Jack Clark, Ross Stewart, Tom Watson, even these players who've left us. Pato at Millwall doing well. I'm just glad to see them doing well. They treat Sunderland with the greatest respect, and that's kind of my attitude with pretty much anybody who leaves this summer. I'll be honest, I can't. I'm struggling to think right now of anybody where I'd be like, oh God, I wish he'd piss off. It's not like that anymore, is it? It's not. It's quite refreshing.
Oh, it is. It's a lovely feeling, and it speaks about the type of culture the club have created, and the type of players they want to give first team opportunities to. Dan Neil, in particular, because he's a Sunderland fan, is always going to have that extra. You're going to have that extra kind of feeling or connection towards him, and want him to do well. He was one of the players who I thought would have done okay for us in the Premier League as well. I mean, I can understand why he then didn't get as many minutes as he would have liked. But in pre-season, when you're looking at the squad and thinking who could potentially step up, he was one of the ones I thought would do a job. He's got lovely skills, lovely technique, we've spoken before, but particularly as a youth player, he had an eye for like a defense splitting pass. So I think he could do a job in the Premier League. I fully understand this like, oh, I don't want to see him in a Coventry shirt. But even if he does end up at Coventry, I would like to see him do well for himself. And you're dead right, Gav. It's just nice to know that when players are leaving Sunderland, it's for the right reasons, and it's not a case of people are fighting over who's going to give them a lift to the airport. We'll wish everyone well and hope to see them back at the stadium sometime in the future.
Yeah. On the subject of Dan Ballard's red card appeal. Now, I was hoping by the time we sat down to record this tonight, we're recording this the night before it goes out, guys. I was hoping by the time we sat down to record this, we'd have some news. So as of 7:30 on Wednesday night, we don't have any news. So let's play a game of Dan Ballard appeal bingo. Let's see who gets it right, and then retrospectively, somebody can pull us up on it. What do you reckon, Brett? Do you reckon it's gonna be reduced or rescinded, or do you reckon it'll stand?
I don't think he'll get rescinded. And that's not me saying because I think it's the right decision to send him off. Because there was previous hair pulling like in recent weeks, I just can't. I think they're going to go with it, and I think that's completely the wrong decision, and it's game's gone and whatnot. But yeah, I unfortunately, I think that's going to stick.
Andrew?
Yeah, I'm thinking along similar lines. The red card shouldn't have been issued in the first place, but now that it has, I don't see the authorities wanting to, be seen to be making a fool of the referee. Who was it? Was it, what his name's escaped me now, the referee?
Can't remember.
Well, whoever it is, yeah, they're not going to want to leave him out, hang him out to dry.
Well, it's not just him, is it, as well? Because he was told to look at it. They already thought it was a red card. He's then looked at it, thought it was a red card. So it'll almost say that two sets of like parties have got it wrong. So it's wrong decision, but it's going to stand.
Yeah, it depends on what we've actually appealed on the grounds of. It makes me think the club feel like they've got a case. Like, can we appeal for a reduction based on the fact we don't feel it was violent conduct? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. And again, it's probably going to be dated this by the time the pod drops or people start listening to it. But we'll see. I'm hoping we'll have news. I guess, Reggie Slabreeze, as people listen to this, will be meeting with the press today to chat about the Man United game. And maybe by that point, we'll have news and we'll know about it. So if you all listen to this retrospectively, you'll know which one of us was right. I'm predicting a reduction. These two think it'll stand. And maybe people listening think they'll be rescinded. Let's see. Next up, lads, there's a great piece on the Sunderland Network website from James Copley, who, of course, joined the pod on Sunday. If anyone wants to catch up and listen to that, I would advise you do. There was in particular, a really, really good bit at the start, talking about the issues around ticketing and fans feeling like they've been left behind by the club as it moves into the 21st century and all these things. I think people should really dig that out if they haven't listened to it already. But James has written a piece for the Sunderland website today on Wednesday, which people can dig out around various things going on, hearings of what's being said at the Academy of Light. It's called James Copley's Sunderland Notebook. So if you want to dig it out, as I say, make sure you do. But starting from the top of that, Andrew, I'll come to you. And I'm presuming you've read this. I hope you have anyways, because I'm putting you on the spot if you haven't. But there's a bit there about Florent Ghisolfi and kind of the impression he's leaving on people at the Academy of Light in comparison, and this is the interesting part, to Christian Speakman, the outgoing director of football or sporting director or whatever his title was. And in effect, what James says is that the feedback from people at the Academy is that people prefer Ghisolfi, and that while Speakman, you couldn't really get a straight answer from him, and he was a bit, wishy-washy, Ghisolfi is very straight talk, and you know where you stand with him. And that clarity is helping people at the Academy get on with their jobs and progress. And I just thought that was really interesting to hear, really, because it kind of points to the fact that something I suspected quite a while ago, that Christian Speakman and Florent Ghisolfi were very different people. And that working relationship would only be short lived. It kind of all makes sense, doesn't it, when you hear it put like that?
Yeah, it was. We always suspected. I think. Did you and I do an immediate reaction when Ghisolfi was first linked with coming to the club, and we said straight away it's going to be interesting to see how that impacts Speakman.
Yeah.
Um, it was a good piece by James Copley. He's on form because I like the pod he did with Chris and Martin earlier on in the week. It wasn't at any point a hatchet job on Christian Speakman. You know, it wasn't by any means being critical. It was just
Yeah,
pointing out that
he was very clear on that, wasn't he? You know, this isn't anybody having a go at Speakman necessarily, just pointing out how they're very different people.
yeah, exactly. And for where we are now, Ghisolfi is the right person. He does seem quite straight talking, which I think always goes down well on Weir side and with Sunderland fans. You know, people don't need to hear a load of extra bump. But he seems pretty direct. Quite interesting. I was listening to an interview with Regis Lebris at the weekend, and I can't even remember in what context it was, but he just dropped it in kind of like, oh, well, we'll have to see what direction Flo wants us to take us in. It might have been with regards to the Ballard appeal, actually. So he is clearly integral to the day-to-day running of the football side. And
Even Andrew, when you see on the behind the scenes footage, he's standing slapping every player on the arse when they're walking out to the pitch, out the changing rooms. He is like he's not sat up in the stands with the directors. He's in the dressing room. He's there on the training ground every day. He's very hands on. Which, to be fair, when you look at his kind of his rap sheet, he was a player. He then moved into coaching and stuff. So his natural environment is to be around the playing squad.
well, it is, and that's good because players can soon see through phonies. You know, so if he is comfortable in that environment and the players respect him on that front, that's a good thing. I mean, listen, nobody's going to come out to the local press and say, "Oh God, this lad we've got in at the moment's a right nightmare." But it does seem genuine, and it does seem positive that such an influential figure is settled down quickly and is a popular person, because if we're to move forward, you want everybody kind of singing from the same hymn sheet.
Yeah, and he's going to get very hands on this summer, Brett, isn't he? I mean, with Speakman out the way, it is like Andrew suggested there. It's his direction now. With the help of others, obviously he takes directive from the board and from the owner, but on the footballing side, he's the man. He runs the operation. So I am really interested to see what kind of direction we take, because I think last summer, while he was all over a lot of the deals that we did, he was just getting into the club. He didn't quite have his feet under the table by that point. So now he's been here for a year and he's worked things out. It's going to be full on Ghisolfi mode this summer. And, you know, we've praised the recruitment of the club over recent years, but Speakman's gone, Stuart Harvey's gone, you know, various other people have left the football club. So it's a key summer for the club, really, and he's going to be the one leading the charge.
It is, and it's exciting as well. It was always kind of felt when he came in that Speakman was he had like this country scouting network to a team.
Yeah.
You saw that, like, you know, Jack Clark's, Patrick Roberts coming in, and then Ghisolfi's like, he's Mr. Worldwide. You know, he's the network that now sort of comes with him is on another level.
Sorry, when you said Mr. Worldwide, I couldn't get Pitbull out of my mind. We've had him on the radio at work all day. Anyways.
As I was about to say that, I was actually going to say over Mr. International, or I thought, go Mr. Worldwide. But as Andrew was saying though as well, you know, where you know the people on Weir's side do like directness. You know, we had a previous manager, Lee Johnson, who was always the LinkedIn speak, wasn't he? So, and I always felt that Speakman was cut from the same cloth, really. So no, it's exciting. It's you know, I can't wait to see what we do this summer. You know, we thought last year, you know, last summer was good. I think it's going to be even better. So yeah. It's
Yeah.
good. It's like a good time to have a podcast, isn't it? When you go out every day.
That's it. Yeah, should keep us busy. On the theme of sort of behind the scenes and academy stuff, also in that story, Andrew, was a reminder that Robin Nichols, the academy manager, is set to depart for a role in the MLS, which I think was announced a long time ago. I think it's been widely reported that, but was a pains to suggest that that position needs to be filled, and the club are looking to get it sorted sooner rather than later. And also, there has been a secret friendly at the academy this week on Wednesday afternoon, and it was. We say a secret friendly. It was known about, just not widely publicised. But the under-21s played a game. I think it was against Wolves, if I remember rightly from what I read. What was interesting in that story, though, and by the way, they're playing that friendly because the under-21s have an important, is it a playoff final or a group game or cup game or something coming up?
It's a league cup final.
Yes, that's it. You know what it is? As the host of this podcast, you'd think I'd have done my research and have all this information in front of us, but I don't. I'm going from memory. But yeah, they've had a friendly to get ready for that game. The interesting bit in that story, though, was that a couple of first-team fringe players, Milan Alexic and Ahmed Abdullahi, were involved. But the interesting bit was, for me, that Timur Tutierov and Triogan Sui, who've both been out on loan in the Football League. I think Tutierov was at Exeter and did pretty well there. They got relegated, I think, on the last day from League One into League Two. And Triogan Sui, who was at Shrewsbury, who I don't think I think he had maybe one game where he got 2 goals, but he hasn't done particularly great out on loan. I think he spent a bit of time with Falkirk as well, where that didn't go particularly well. But regardless, those lads have been out, young kids, got experience playing the Football League, which is fantastic. They're now back at the academy, and they're actually look likely to play a part in the game which the under-21s have got coming up. So I know you like go along watch under-21s. That's good news, Andrew, isn't it, for the squad going into that big game?
Yeah, and as individuals, the club will be looking at them now thinking, have they made a step on, having been around like a senior team for the last few months? Triogan Sui, hasn't necessarily had the minutes on the pitch he would have wanted, but you've got to assume he was at least learning something on the training ground. So if they're being lined up to play in this final or be part of the squad, happy days. They'll both be desperate to remind everybody on Sunderland at the Sunderland end who they are and show what they've learned. Robin Nichols, again, you're right, Gav. It's been a while since he said he was going to leave, but it's not like he's being booted out. I think he's got an exciting opportunity in America, and the club are happy for him to go. But again, just the fact that he was then able to see out the rest of the season points towards the fact the club are doing things right, and we're not having to get people out. We're not booting people out on their backside because they're making such a hash of it. Hopefully, in these last couple of months, they've been looking to see who's available and who can step in. I'm not necessarily worried about that. He's apparently done very well, but if it's time for him to move on and if we've got somebody lined up, that doesn't need to be a problem. And yeah, this final, I think it's next. I think it'll be a week today when this pod gets released that game takes place at the Stadium of Light. Listen, it'll only be a couple of quid in. If anybody's at a loose end, go along. It should be a good game. I'm looking forward to it. I've seen them in this competition a few times this season, and we've scored plenty of goals at this level, so it might be a decent match.
Absolutely. The academy is really important, isn't it, in making sure that the various cogs all turn together and everything works in tandem alongside the football team that Regis Labrise looks after. It's really important. And, even beside the fact that we try, the point of the academy is to produce first team players, we're not going to produce multiples of first team players every year. And it's about just being a slick operation, I think. And there's another little bit in that piece by James where it's just noted that Sunderland are viewed positively by local non-league teams, and the relationship that we built up with a few of them, the ones that were named were South Shields, York and Hebden Town. Hebden Town, of course, have been promoted into National League North, which is brilliant news for us if we want to send any players there. They're going to be playing at a high level. And Hebben, I think, in the league they're in now, have one of the lowest budgets. They're going to be relying heavily on probably us and other local teams for players. South Shields, I think, on Saturday play in the playoff final to the National League North playoff final. So, they get promoted to the National League. That'll be, again, a massive benefit to us because another club we can send good young players to. And I think this season they've had Ollie Bainbridge there as well, who's obviously part of our 21 setup. I did see actually another little story that was out there from the Shields manager Ian Watson, who basically couldn't speak highly enough of Sunderland because the club have allowed this last week or so South Shields to use the Academy of Light as their training base because the Heart and Welfare training ground, which South Shields have, all the pitches are being relayed. So they've busy would have had nowhere to train. So they've ended up training at Sunderland ahead of their playoff games. And he said, we literally can't thank Sunderland enough, can't speak highly enough of the football club. You talk about a football club that are just doing things for the community and helping. It just looks like from the outside in that football club is in such a good place and they are doing everything right. That is filtering through with the help they have given us. We would have been lost without them in the last 2 weeks. They don't need to help us. Other than the fact they want to help and they want to be a big part of the community, I can't thank them enough. We really appreciate that. So that's the manager of South Shields talking about our football club. Like I say, it might seem such a small thing, but you've got to keep these clubs sweet because they're going to need our help. We're going to need their help to develop players, and I just think it's nice to read, isn't it? It's really nice to read. Anyways, we will head for a short break, and then when we come back, we've got some other bits and pieces to chat about, and I know some of these Andrew is keen to get stuck into, so we'll speak later. Welcome back to Howie the podcast, and as I said before the break, got some interesting stuff here. I'm going to kick off with this one, and with you again, Andrew. Sorry, Brett, to skip over you, but since we have got Mr. Kitman on the pod today, the author of Kit Kats, we've got to talk about merchandise and club shops and stuff, and it looks like we are finally getting a club shop in the Bridges, Andrew, because the club are advertising positions to work in a new shop, which will be opened in the Bridges, and eagle-eyed Sunderland fans who've been out and about in the Bridges in the last couple of days have spotted the advert for the jobs in the window of an empty shop, which while we were sat chatting before we hit record, we managed to work out that shop is Unit 22 in the Bridges, which is opposite next door to the Red Sky Foundation. So if anybody's trying to visualize where the new shop will be, that's it. And I think it's just a long time coming, this, mate. Like for me, when I was a kid, I rarely went to the Stadium of Light. If I wanted the Sunderland shirt, me mum and dad would take us into Debenhams. And even before that, it was the club shop, which was at the entrance of where Jackie White's is. I remember that one there, like, I think it's important that we have these things dotted around. We could do one in Durham. Hey, stick one in the Metro Centre, piss the mags off. We need to have a presence all over the Northeast, and it's a step in the right direction, getting another club shop, I think.
It is a step in the right direction. And if they do a decent staff discount, I might apply for like a nice little Saturday morning job, do a couple of hours there, get some new kit, and then just wander straight over to the stadium to watch the game. Do you remember when we opened up a store in the Metro Centre and it was on the level above the Newcastle club shop? That was that caused a few people to have a smirk. Yeah. At some point, it would be lovely to see us expand the club shop network again and pitch up in a couple of spots. I think we even had a little outlet at the airport at one point. So yeah, that
remember one in the galleries. There was one in the galleries for years, wasn't there?
Aye. Oh, Gav, don't distract us. I'll just start talking about all the various club shops.
Do you know this, Andrew? Actually, on that, right? I can remember. I'm sure it's been over the last year or so. They haven't had like a pop-up store in the middle of the Bridges as well. Like, so they've obviously tested the waters to see if there's much of an appetite for it.
Oh well, yeah. And like I say, it would be nice if down the line there's more stores opening. But for the time being, this is a brilliant first step. Even myself, I live on the north side, but sometimes it is easier if I'm in town doing 3 or 4 jobs. It would be easier to just drop in a city centre branch. So I'm pleased it's happening. It suggests the club are still trying to improve on matters, because for years now we've been unhappy with the retail side of the club, and it's made huge strides over the last couple of years. To see that they're still looking to improve it even more and listening to what people are asking for is brilliant. And it's going to be a busy old episode this one, Gav, because there's all sorts seem to be happening. But this is a nice bit of positive news and famous last words. I don't think anybody could really be unhappy at the club opening up another shop. I don't think.
I opened the Ready to Go thread on it, and someone said it would be shut within 18 months. So there's your famous Macron positivity there. But for you, I guess, Brett, when you come up to the northeast, it's great for you. Great for you if you want to drop in with the kids and stuff. Like,
that might not be a good thing. Then I don't think.
You get fleeced 200 quid later as you walk past.
It would make things a lot easier. It's actually quite interesting that they are doing that, though, because in this day and age when they're saying the high streets dying and shops are shutting, it is good that they're actually getting a store, in the town. It's creating a few more jobs for people, and is that presence for them. So no, I think it's brilliant that the club's actually doing that. So, and no, I do actually remember coming up to Sunderland summer holidays and going to the one near Jackie White's Market. Every time he came up, that was always visited. So yeah, that as you said that, a nice little memory popped into my head then.
I used to try and drag me mum round the Debenhams one with things in my hand, like, Mum, look, are you seeing this? I don't think I got away with it very often, but at least I tried.
I would have been exactly the same. In all seriousness, there you've said about like Brett when he's up with the kids to watch a game. It's not necessarily going to be match-going fans that spend most of the money there. It'll be people who have loved ones who go to the games. So, for example, my mum, it's not going to be easy for her to go to the club shop at the stadium because of mobility and what have you. But if she's able to be in the town and do a few things, she can go, oh, well, our Andrew takes the grandkids to the match. Well, there's a gift. That's an easy gift to buy. So it'll probably have a lot of people going in for whom going to the stadium isn't a regular occurrence.
Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely. Another story here. One you alerted me to, Andrew. I wasn't even aware of this, but it looks like somebody has started a petition, and it's a very fancy looking website that I'm reading right now, the rocaplaque.com website. And this is, sorry, but I don't know who's behind this. But basically, in summary, whoever is behind it is raising a petition to have the centre spot of Roker Park properly marked, Andrew. So apparently it still exists. There is a small green at Promotion Close Park, and you can stand near it, but you wouldn't know what it was unless somebody alerted you to it. And this petition is to try and honour this properly. It's been done at other grounds. I think Main Road is the one that's cited on the website. There's somewhere where there's a proper plaque. But yeah, this petition seems to be growing legs. I can see they're up to 2,000 supporters already. Maybe when people listen to this and they're alerted to it, they'll go sign it too. But again, yeah, this is just something that you pointed me to, and I think it's interesting. I hadn't even heard any noise about this being marked, but the more I think about it, yeah, it is quite significant. And it's weird that I read this and you sent us this because on Saturday I took my little girl out while our mum was at work. I'm trying to think of things to do, so I'm out and about round here and everywhere. And as we got off the metro at East Bolden, I got in the car and she fell asleep, and I thought, shit, I'm going to have to drive now. So I just set off on a drive all over the place. I was out for an hour, ended up in Shields all over. And I drove through Roker and I drove into that estate. And I thought, I'm just going to drive round, because I haven't done it for a few years. And it did make us think. I was looking around going, where's the centre circle? And it was just it was a thought came into my head, went back out. And then I saw this week, and it's like, I think someone was listening to us when I was thinking that. It was literally a few days ago.
Are you behind all of this, Gav? Are you the person who started all of this?
I am Mr. Smith, yeah. I'm the one behind the secret. No, but it is an interesting one. But now I think about it, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing it marked, but I don't know how logistically easy that is. And I know, in your line of work, mate, that you might know a little bit more about these things than I do.
Oh, well, My boss might not agree with that one. He'd probably say I don't know anything about anything. It is a peculiar one because I only saw it on Ready to Go last night, Gavin. Did you say there's about 2,000 signatures?
hmm
Well, that's pretty good because I think when I spotted it last night, it was 900 and odd. So it's doubled in 24 hours
yeah.
or so. Like you, I'm got no idea who's behind it. It does seem to have just popped up out of the blue. It's really well intentioned, I think, and a fair play to anybody who wants to mark Sunderland history. I do have a few questions and reservations, sadly. I'm not trying to piss on anybody's chips or undermine the work somebody's put into it. Because like you say, the website looks nice. They've spent a lot of care and attention on it, but I don't know who this petition is going to be forwarded to. I don't know who would be funding the works. I couldn't see any detail on that side of things. And I hate to be Mr. like all health and safety about it, but where the centre circle is now is in the middle of a road. It's part of like the adopted network, and traffic around there is minimal. It's an estate road, so you've not got cars zooming past. But it is part of the adopted network, which means the council have to maintain it at public expense. And the council are not going to want to be seen to be encouraging people to be milling around in the middle of a road. You know, if something bad was to happen, there'd be hell on. So I like the idea in theory. I don't know if in practice it would work. You know, you can't. Materials that are used in the middle of a live road, you know, would have to be signed off and all of that. And then if it gets damaged, who would be responsible for the upkeep? There'd be a lot of questions about it. There is a plaque also at the site of Roker Park already as you enter the site, marking the fact of what used to be there and how important the ground is. So, yeah, I love the thought and the passion behind it, but I hate to be a misery guts and a killjoy. I don't know if it'll actually end up coming to anything or not.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. But it is a very slick website, isn't it? I was looking at it before. It's like professionally done. Looks really, really good. So yeah, if anybody would like to sign that petition or have a look at what the crack is, they can head over to rokerplaque.com. That's ROKERPLAQUE.com. And if you want to sign the petition, crack on. And if the people behind this particular movement want to get in touch with us and come on the pod and chat about the thinking behind it all, absolutely, we'd love to have a chat. So get in touch if you do hear this. Anyways, moving on very slightly to a good bit of news. The Fan Museum, Brett, have announced that they have officially opened the Bobby Kerr Dementia Centre. And this is to help sufferers of dementia in the city. And it's going to be a social space, a welcoming space. And that's been done with the go-ahead of Bobby Kerr, who was sadly diagnosed with dementia 3 years ago. The great Sunderland captain who, to be honest, since the Fan Museum opened, has been part of the furniture there. It's almost like every time you walk in, Bobby's in there, you know, either having a beer or chatting with people. But the Fan Museum doing some great stuff in the city, and you've visited there quite a few times, as I have, when we've been there for the international fan parties and stuff. It's cracking venue, isn't it? And it sounds like a really good cause with what's going on there.
It's brilliant. It's the fans. Yeah, obviously, as you say, you've been drinking there a few times. The Fans Museum. Can't always remember, you know, near the end of the nights, but no, the actual place itself is amazing. And as someone who's personally had dealings with family members with dementia and Alzheimer's, anything like this for me is brilliant. And have it in Bobby Kerr's name is wonderful. It's I cannot speak. When I read about it yesterday, you know, while lumping my photo talking about it now, it's a really, really good thing, and to have it in his name is wonderful. Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, it was unveiled at 4:40 p.m. on the 5th of May, Andrew, which obviously is a significant time and date. the exact moment that the final whistle blew in 1973 when the club lifted the cup and gave so many people happy memories. And the founder of the Fan Museum, Michael Ganley, said to the Sunderland Echo, "Football has given people memories that last a lifetime. This centre is about giving something back, helping people hold on to those memories for as long as possible and supporting families through one of the toughest journeys they can face." I know you're seen around the Fan Museum from time to time, Andrew. You know what the place is all about, and yeah, again, just brilliant. This, isn't it?
It is. It purely as a Sunderland museum, it's lovely. It's got loads of really nice exhibits, so Sunderland fans could easily lose a few hours in there. But on top of that, like you say, it does loads of stuff for the community. It's involved now with the dementia side of things. I think for a long time, Michael Ganley has helped set things up where his volunteers go into old people's homes and the like, and they take Sunderland memorabilia with them, because it helps get people talking and people get to touch the shirts and flick through all the old programs. There's the volunteers there do so much good for the community. The venue hosts, you're dead right. I attend. I'm a facilitator at the men's mental health club on a Monday night. There's a similar thing on a Wednesday night that uses the venue for ladies called Laura's Ladies Club. I met a couple of the lasses from there recently. They love being able to use the venue. So this is really, really nice to see. It doesn't surprise us. They've done loads of nice things in the past. And you've just reminded me there about how you said since it opened, Bobby's been part of the furniture. I remember one time I ordered something. It was a gift for somebody. Then the next day there's a knock on the door, delivering it. I open the door. It's bloody Bobby Kerr, like Sunderland's 1973 cup winning captain, just knocking on the door and like, "Oh, is this Mr. Smithson? Here's your parcel." It was great. and Kelvin and Martin and Chris and I are hoping to do a podcast on Bobby Kerr soon, because he is such a loved character, and hopefully we are able to just pay tribute, and this dementia centre news is just another side of just how loved he is. He's really special to Sunderland fans.
Yeah. The information on the centre, if anybody's interested, is that it will be open 3 days a week, initially at least on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays. And in terms of what it costs, because obviously it's not a free service, but the centre will be offered at a rate of £50 per day with optional transport available and lunch available too. And anybody who's interested in it, would like to register and interested in attending the sessions, they're urged to contact Michael by emailing michael@fansmuseum.org. That's michael@fansmuseum.org. So yeah, sounds fantastic, that. And well done to Michael and the team at the Fans Museum for putting something in place which will, I'm sure, change a lot of people's lives. On the subject of this sort of thing anyways, the club rather notably changed the crest on Black Cat's house from a black cat to a black dog this week, which at first pricked my ears up. I was like, what's that all about? What's that all about? But that's the reason it was done. It was to get people talking. Why have the club changed the crest from a cat to a dog? And it's all to do with Mental Health Awareness Week, Brett. And, again, it's got people talking. That's the point, isn't it? The club have done this to make people like us go, what's that all about? And then you look into it and you realise what the black dog signifies. It's a sign going back many, many years. It's a symbol, of people who suffer with depression. And there's so much to read into this, but again, just great for the club to get involved in something like this. Obviously, it's got us chatting, and that's the reason behind it.
Absolutely brilliant marketing. And as you said, it just appeared all of a sudden. I know a few people thought it was because we're top dogs in the northeast. But no, on a serious note, again, that's the whole point of it, is to get people looking into what's that all about. Digging into it. We know as well. When it's going to be more of a serious note, where men struggle to talk about the emotions and depression and things like that. I know it's not just targeted at men, but and sport and football is such a great thing to deliver that. And it is a really serious thing. So no, absolutely fantastic, and so cleverly. It's such a simple idea, so cleverly done today, just to get people talking about it.
Yeah, it is important, Andrew, isn't it? And I think it's great that we're talking about it, and it allows people to have conversations. And I'm a mental health first aider. People might not know that, but I am. So very much on my radar. I'm proud of the club for getting involved in something like this.
It's fantastic, and the world is changing. People are becoming more aware of some of these mental health conditions, and there's not such a stigma attached, which is really important. Fantastic, Gav, that you've said there. You work at your place of work. You've got an involvement with that type of thing. I don't know if in the past employers were as hot on that type of provision for their staff. It's important that we all try and understand these issues. And hey, listen, Sunderland, quite rightly in my mind, have taken a lot of stick recently for some of their actions, but this is amazing. I think people do look at the club and treat it with a reverence. So if Sunderland AFC can say, hey, listen, there's situations here that we need to learn about and speak about, that is going to break down some of the barriers for people. I'm really pleased Sunderland are using its position to do that. It's a lovely little idea as well. It's very clever who's come up with the turning the black cat into the black dog. And I'm guessing it's in conjunction with an event that's being held at the Beacon of Light prior to kick-off on Saturday. You'll have to forgive us, Gav. I can't remember which.
I've got it in front of us.
Yeah.
So it's been done in partnership with one of the club's key partners, Live Score, and they are hosting matchday activities around the game on Saturday, including fan engagement experiences outside of the stadium and a front cover feature on the matchday programme. The campaign is also encouraging supporters to engage with the Foundation of Light's mental health and suicide prevention programme, the game of 11 halves, or 2 halves, sorry. I'm reading that completely wrong. Game of 2 halves. The project works with men aged 16 and over in Sunderland, aiming to equip them with the skills, confidence, and knowledge to promote positive mental health messages, signpost others to support, and reduce the stigma around self-harm and suicide. So, yeah, there are going to be various things off around the stadium on Saturday to do with this.
You said there, Gab, it's embarrassing when you're hosting a pod and you don't know some of the facts and figures. I'm actually volunteering at that event. I'm going to be standing at an awareness stall, believe it or not. And my awareness is absolutely tragic because I couldn't remember the name of the event. So before the game, Beacon of Light always gets popular anyway, but hey, come along. You might want to reach out to somebody, or there might be somebody in your life who you want to help understand a bit better or help. Come along, see what you can learn, and hopefully everyone can feel a little bit better and cope better with some of the things that's happening.
Yes, well, the only thing left on my list to talk about today was a quote from Andrea Desena about the 2013-14 season. I think I'm just going to leave it because I do not want to bring the mood down. We've ended on quite a nice positive note today. So thank you very much, gentlemen. It's been lovely as always catching up with you both.
Big pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you very much to the listeners, of course, for joining us. And as I kind of touched on before, there's been loads on the feeds this week with regards to the pods, and make sure you get caught up if you're not already. We've had a Q&A this week, which you were on, Andrew, with Anne and Chris, which was a great listen. I really enjoyed that. We've had a brilliant little pod which went out. I know it was a bit of audio we used in the past, but it was on the 5th of May, of course. Kelvin giving his recollection of that famous day in 1973. The new series here on How Are the Podcast, Legends Hour, or Roker Rewind. I'm not quite sure what we're calling it yet. Its name is in the works, but anyways, that one was around Don Revie and his Willie Warnty saga. Was he going to become Sunderland manager or not? And the first part of that was kind of setting the scene for how that nearly happened. So yes, that was a really interesting listen with Martin and Kelvin. Sunday supplement, which I talked about before, which was Chris Martin and James Copley from the Sunderland Echo, delving into a whole host of things. And if you really want to listen to me, Bomber and Mike chat in the reaction pod about the Wolves game, there's that on the feeds too. Coming up the rest of the week, we've got an opposition preview guest ahead of the Man United game. We've got the match day preview, which I'm on. I think you're on, Andrew, and a bunch of others. I'll be back with a reaction straight after the game as well from the pub. I think we're going to do a pubcast. It's been a while since we had one of them because we just don't have many Saturday 3 o'clock kickoffs, so we don't have many opportunities to get in the pub and chat, but we're going to do that this weekend. And we will also be joined by BBC Radio Newcastle's matchday commentator, Nick Barnes, on Sunday. So lots and lots coming up over the coming days. So make sure you get subscribed to Howie the Podcast if you're not already. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you very much.